Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Comic Book Users. Welcome to another episode of Inside the Cover. We're going to take a look at a very cool comic from 1978, issue number 153 of Daredevil, The Man Without Fear. There, of course, you see Daredevil, old Hornhead himself, battling the Cobra and Mr. Hyde once again. Because, of course, the Cobra and Mr. Hyde would be a thorn in the side of Daredevil after they stopped trying to figure out how to beat Thor, which, of course, wasn't happening, right? So they moved on to Daredevil. They figured they'd move on to a guy that doesn't have all the big, super godlike powers. Maybe they can get one up on Daredevil, right, where they couldn't do it to Thor. So here we've got Gene Colan and Klaus Janson doing the artwork on the cover. Of course, this does mark the return, this little period here, of Gene Colan to the Daredevil comic, where he had been gone for many years. Of course, he did such great work on a good chunk of the early run on Daredevil for many years, and before moving on to other things, right? I think at the same time here, he was also working on Howard the Duck and a few other things, but also big in Doctor Strange and Tomb of Dracula early on. So here we've got Roger McKenzie wrote the story, Tony DeZuniga, inker, Gene Colan, of course. It says, proudly welcomes back Gene the Dean Colan Daredevil penciler without fear, Denise Wall the letterer, Mary Titus colorist, and Jim Shooter editor-in-chief. Right, so it's called Betrayal. So here, of course, he is showing up at the apartment, Matt Murdock as Daredevil, showing up at the apartment of Heather Glenn, sorry. All right, got kind of like a distress signal, and I gotta go see what's going on with Heather, of course, because he's quite interested in Heather, right? So here he shows up. As he shows up at the apartment, there's kind of like a little breaks into the window, and he sees it's quite dark in there. There's no Heather. Heather's not there, right? But of course, who does he find? Cobra and Mr. Hyde themselves. Nemesis of Daredevil. Here you can see the great return to the Colan art. And, again, kind of like Kirby in the 70s, Jack Kirby in the 70s, you can really see some of the differences in the artwork of Gene Colan as the kind of 70s wore on. Like, I look at this and I see lots of similarities to some of what he was doing at the time with Howard the Duck. So, the artist would kind of change with the times a little bit. So here, if you look at this artwork and compare it to like some of the art on earlier Daredevil, where he worked back in the late 60s and early 70s, again, it has a lot to do with the inkers they work with too. But here you can see some differences here. And as soon as I started reading this issue, I was like, that just brought me back to the Howard the Duck issues that he was doing at the same time. And maybe a little bit of the end of the run with Tomb of Dracula. Right, so again, let's read some of the dialogue here. So here we see, so Daredevil says, you, and then Hyde goes, bah, I don't need this. I'll crush Daredevil with my bare hands, and he's got like a gun, and he just throws it aside. And Cobra says, only if you reach him first. And he says, Cobra and Hyde, what are they doing here? How did they know Heather? She blames me for the death of her father. Did she betray me? Does she hate me that much? No, I won't believe that. I just can't. Does this story sound familiar? Remember, like Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy, right, early on, right, when with her father, right, and she blamed Spider-Man for the death of her father, right, and Peter was all worried, is she gonna just hate me? Find out, and she's gonna hate me, right? Not so. It's a very similar storyline here, right? So Daredevil, of course, very interested in Heather, and did she betray him and have him come to the apartment only to find these two goons there, right? The plot thickens, right? So here the battle begins. And here you have Hyde jumping at Daredevil. Of course, he moves out of the way fairly quickly because he's so nimble for a blind guy. Pretty good for a blind guy, right? But then, of course, underneath grabs the Cobra, because the Cobra is one of his great strengths. He's very, very quick and nimble, and he's got a crushing hold, and he's got those kind of like Cobra blast, the venomous blast that he shoots out, whereas Hyde is just like this, total big, strong madman, right? So here... So Hyde's like, I'll reach him all right, Cobra, and when I do, I'll smash him. He goes, Mister, I'm only going to ask you once, where's Miss Glenn? What have you done with her? And then he says to himself, could they have forced her to lure me here? It's possible. If they thought I was investigating her father's death, possibly, but not likely. So, of course, perhaps you escaped my bumbling partner, Daredevil. Then the Cobra goes and grabs him, and he puts him in the Cobra clutches, right? There is no escape from the restricting coils of the Cobra. He goes, ugh, misjudged his inhuman speed, and that could be a fatal mistake. Can't breathe, feels like ribs cracking. Die, Daredevil, dive. I can't give up, I won't. Right, so of course he takes his billy club and he rockets it across the room. It hits the wall, ricochets, and smacks the Cobra in the head, knocking him out. So while he's doing that, Hyde has regrouped himself. He basically starts moving forward again. Daredevil throws Cobra at him. He just swats Cobra away and goes and tackles Daredevil. You can feel that thud down below, right? That's, I'm sure if you got Big Mr. Hyde hitting you in the gut, that's going to take the wind out of you. And then, of course, look at this great splash page, right? Of course, out the window they go. And Daredevil basically says, oh my God. People these days would be like, OMG. Oh my God, crash, hurtling down below. You see the city drunk watching them fall. So Daredevil's thinking, I don't have my billy club. How the hell am I going to get out of this? I'm dead if we hit the ground, right? Hyde, maybe not so much, right? But so what does he do? He kind of like jettisons himself in mid-flight off of Hyde. And as they're falling now separately, he sees something that perhaps he can grab onto, which he does. But he's hurt. He hurts his arm, right? It's like a flagpole. It hurts his arm. He remembers how his body's already hurting him from his battle, the previous issue with Paladin, right? If you haven't checked out that issue, that's a good one. But what does he do? He's able to save himself because, of course, can't kill Daredevil up here. And, of course, Hyde goes smashing through the street, right? And while you're at it, have a Clark bar. And then here you got a nice little ad here featuring Red Sonja, Spider-Man, Captain America, Thor, and the Hulk. As the dogs come in. All right, but if you think that Hyde is dead, of course not, because he comes crawling out from the hole in the ground. But then 2 seconds later, he basically collapses. So Daredevil's got a little bit of a break here, right? So he goes... And this is interesting. Before he collapses, he says, must capture Daredevil. He said, must capture, and then, psh, and so Daredevil thinks to himself, he goes, he? Good Lord, now I think I understand. Huh? Behind me, it sounds like, and of course it does sound like, because now by this time now, Cobra is up. He whacks Daredevil over the head with his billy club, all right, and then he stands above him, breaks the billy club, and then he starts to shoot his... Cobra Venom blast at him, right? So this is a great sequence of events here, right? Just love the art of Gene Colan. He's just always been one of my favorites. All right, then of course, so Daredevil grabs a garbage can, deflects all the Cobra, the Venom blasts, right? Takes the garbage can, hurls it at the Cobra, knocks him out. Oh, hold on, we got some more cool ads. Look at those strong arms. Only $3.98. Nothing else to buy, and you can look just like that. Robert Bell ad up top, right? Titanic superhero shirts. Love these old ads, man. All right, and then of course we got the letters page. And then Daredevil, now that he threw the garbage can into Cobra and kind of got him a little wobbly, he just goes in and starts wailing on Cobra. Literally, he is just absolutely going off on him. To the point where I think he's kind of losing control here because he figures these guys had something to do with Heather's disappearance, right? And then, but of course, I got to read this to you. So while he's doing this, he says, I got to find Heather before it's too late, but it's not too late. If it's not too late already. No, I can't give up hope. That's all that keeps keeping me going. Hope and vengeance. Wait a minute. Last I heard of Cobra and Hyde, they were behind bars in Rikers Island prison, but there's been no reported breakouts, not since the Man Bull. That means they didn't escape. They must have been freed, but that's not possible unless, of course, it has to be him. But that madman's pushed me too far this time. I won't rest until he's brought to justice. I won't until someone says, stop. You may be good at whipping a sniveling coward like Cobra, but I have you now, and you'll not escape me again. And, of course, that's Hyde, because, of course, now Hyde's back. That's, when you're fighting a formidable team and you're only one person, you got to expect they're going to keep coming back. So basically, he throws Daredevil against the wall, knocks him out, grabs him, and they go down to the sewer. Okay, so we got Hyde and Cobra taken off into the sewer. Of course, there is a photographer there. Guy works for the Bugle. Takes a picture. Daredevil abducted by Cobra and Hyde, feared dead. All right. So that ends this story. So next is Arena. For those of you who have not, who don't have or haven't read Daredevil 154, of course, it's Daredevil against a good chunk of his rogues gallery, right? His feared villains. So you got these two guys, and Gladiator is there, and the Jester is there, and I think Paladin's there as well. And of course, they have all been assembled by the Purple Man, right? So he's the guy behind all this. That's him. He's the guy who's basically got all these baddies working to get Daredevil. So that's issue number 154. So thanks for watching, everybody. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Very, very important. And stay tuned for more Inside the Cover. I guess Tala loves this issue, right? So more Inside the Cover action coming at you this week. Bill and I hopefully will get together over the weekend to tape some stuff. So there'll be more duo shows, dynamic duo shows coming up next week. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'm P. Pardo. Stay tuned for more stuff here on Comic Book Geezers. Take care. Bye-bye.